So this is Oyama. It's not a hard word to remember or name, but I have trouble with it because it reminds me of Aoyama, which was a friend of mine who was a professor in Colorado. Actually walked me into a Boulder newspaper office, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I just want to check something out." And he actually went into the cartoon department, and he said, "This is my friend Carl. He's a really great artist." He sort of guerrilla introduced me because he wanted me to, like many other people, he wanted me to get the ball rolling with my life, and he thought that I should be a political cartoonist. But anyway, it's now, because I talked about him, I'm confused again. His name was Aoyama, and that's also a place in Japan. But this is Oyama, and this is where the Itabashi city office is, and it's where I had to go to the ward office to register that I'm living here officially with a work visa. And what they did was they gave me this certificate, which I keep. I'm glad I brought a plastic box today, the kind that Asians always carry their resumes in. And they also printed electronically onto my residence card my official address where I live. So I don't want to be moving anytime soon now, even after I complained about certain things. I was just really impressed with the office and how there's so much help there and people speaking English. We have that in America, but it's a much more ornery experience, at least in New York, when you go into municipal offices. Sometimes, certainly on certain days, in certain climes, in certain conditions, and with certain people. And by that I don't mean that any one group is worse than another. It's just that because we're a multiverse of cultures in America, I think that's why we don't all behave the same way, which a lot of people think is refreshing. But travel in Asia for a while, and before you get bored with everybody being so automatically kind of the same, another great street, you will be charmed, because the consistency of kindness and respect is so ubiquitous and standard that you can't help but feel, if not special after a while, you feel like you've risen to a different plateau of civil existence. And I felt that in Korea, and I certainly feel it in Japan. In Korea, it comes with a lot more kind of in-your-face friendliness, but after a while, that can be a bit encroaching, right? It's like living among your in-laws, and they're always telling you to sit down and eat something else, and you just want to say, "Look, I love you, but would you give me a break?" In Japan, you're really given a break. You're completely left alone. But once you ask people for help, it's just incredible how dedicated they will be to coming to your aid. And then when you're in a place where help is expected, for example, a municipal office, a train station, anywhere there's an information counter, it's like you have arrived as the ambassador of another planet or another nation, and you just get the red carpet. So unless on the off chance 1 out of 20 times you get an ornery person, which is really rare, if even existent, in Japan. So I'm just really impressed today, and I'm feeling good. Again, as I explained in another video once, I feel really good being legit for a change, you know. I worked off contract almost the whole time I was in Korea, and so I had this looking over my shoulder feeling. But in Japan now I'm legal, and so I just feel really normal for a change, you know. I have a resident card, and you need that in Japan, because the Japanese police will periodically stop people, especially foreigners, just to see how they're doing, what they're up to. They also stop people who don't look like they match the bicycle they're riding, if you can believe that, because bicycles here are registered because so many people ride them, right? And they will check your registration in your wallet with your bike to see if you haven't stolen it. And they also check people because they want to make sure the foreigner population is not running afoul. And we in America bristle at that if we're not right-wing conservative lunatics, and we say, oh, it's an invasion of privacy. But again, once you reach that level of civility of living in an Asian country, you don't mind the strictures and the minor inconveniences of, say, having them go through your bag at immigration, you know, which now Americans are used to since 9/11. But I've been used to it for 25 years because every time I went to Japan, I had my bags rifled through when I left from Korea. But I don't mind, because when you see the level of safety and security and peace of mind that you're treated to in these countries, and especially in Japan, you realize it has to do with that kind of precaution. Anyway, I've got to get to work, and I've got a long way to go, so I need to focus on that now. And I'll tell you more about my becoming an official resident later if I think of something. I'm going to try to include pictures of all the little things that were in the brochure that I got as now being a welcome resident of Itabashi City. After so many years of being called foreigner in Korea, and I'll still be called foreigner here, I can't tell you how great it feels to have the asterisk, the imaginary asterisk as it were, after my name that says, yeah, I'm a foreigner, but I'm a legal resident, and I'm even joining the healthcare system. That's just incredible. And it's not that expensive, as some other guys had terrified me into thinking. It's going to cost me like 13 bucks a month, which means I'll pay 30% when I go to the doctor. The doctor. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Americans, and stand in shame that you don't have national health care.